What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Figure It Out! Out of the Basement's action figure talk show. Today, we're doing another viewer-requested episode. We're going to be talking about our action figure collecting origins. Thank you to Riley Cross and BBOT62 for the suggestions. So it's been a few weeks since we have done a new episode of Figure It Out. We're happy to be back. So, who wants to go first with their action figure collecting origin story? Justin? I feel like your story is most familiar because we've said it a few times on the show.
True, very true. Well, you see, once upon a time, Justin was a wee lad. Actually, I was an adult when I started collecting. The very first action figures I ever bought, like seriously, was a little tiny little Millennium Falcon, Snowspeeder, and X-Wing. They were like little Hot Wheel little figures that were on like a clear plastic stand.
Okay.
Those were from Toys R Us. Because when we did start all of the Out of the Basement stuff, like way back, like early, like podcast level.
Like 2015 Out of the Basement.
Yeah.
The dark ages.
Yeah. I am obviously a pretty diehard, huge Star Wars fan. So I thought, you know, I could get into collecting some little Star Wars figurines. So I started with that.
I remember we had been collecting Black Series for a while.
Yeah.
And we were trying to convert you into the 6-inch game.
Yeah, I was getting there.
Because you were doing the 3 3/4 inch, which there's nothing wrong with that. But you can take that up with him. But yeah, I remember when you first got your first 6-inch fig.
Yeah. So then after the little Hot Wheels thing, I started to do the 3 3/4 inch. I got the Stormtrooper. That was from the blue. It was either blue or orange line, and then from the red and black 3 3/4 inch line, it was Luke Skywalker, Chewbacca, and Darth Vader, which I am going to sell all of those whenever we go to Kokomo Toys.
Eventually, at some point.
Yeah, whenever. Which, you know, we'll make a vlog out of that. And then it was my birthday, November of 2015. On my birthday, which was the very first 6-inch action figure ever. $20. It just always seemed like too much to me. And now it doesn't. If you've seen my collection, or any of our collections, $20 isn't too much. But that is when you guys finally convinced me, because we went to Toys R Us and they had their Toys R Us exclusive, the First Order officer, like captain, commander, officer, whatever.
Snowtrooper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Snowtrooper officer with the red pauldron. And I remember we were at Toys R Us and I didn't get it, and then we were running around to other stores, and then I was like, yeah, let's just go back. And then I bought it, and it spawned an insane amount of money was spent after that day, just from the past 2 years. I'm going to say 2 years. And then since that was late 2015, I'm going to say 2016 and half of 2017, I just went like absolutely insane getting all those orange line and blue line figures. Most of them. I do have most of them. And I just remember driving out of my way to go to like Walgreens just across our state. And just,
I'm so glad we're over the Walgreens
thing. Well, Walgreens actually used to have product.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day.
I wouldn't even know. I haven't been to one in
We're going to have to start up again because General Veers is a Walgreens exclusive.
Yeah.
So.
But I literally found IG-88 at a Walgreens, and that is when, you know, the blue line was like pretty much phased out.
But you could still find, like in 2016, I feel like we could find a decent number of blue line figures.
I used to see Obi-Wan everywhere.
Yeah, Obi-Wan was like a peg warmer.
I think Obi-Wan would be the only one you could possibly find. I don't think you would find any other blue.
I definitely saw some Commander Cody's and probably some other troopers.
I've definitely seen Darth Vader.
On them, huh?
Yeah, Darth Vader.
I'm talking about... Oh, I thought you guys were talking modern times.
No, of course not. Not now.
But...
Then.
Yeah, it was just absolutely insane. It was when I would buy just multiple figures at one time. Admittedly, none of them were pretty much... Yeah, none of them were bought like brand new unless I found them at a Walgreens, because most of them were disc replay and Amazon purchases, because back in like 2016 the orange and blue line that were still relatively cheap on Amazon.
Besides like the obvious ones like Darth Maul or Boba Fett, but like Bosk and IG-88 were fairly cheap.
Yeah. And I think a good follow-up to this video is just to have the three of us get together and just show off our entire collections.
Yeah. I think
which has also been requested.
That would be a massive. We'd just buy like a big table.
But
and
yeah,
put them on.
I was thinking like the doubles.
We
just show one and
we'd
say
have
we
to
all
take it
have
on
this.
tour. Honestly, I think that would be the easiest way.
Yes.
Film here, there, wherever.
But there's just so many awesome stories of orange and blue line. Those are more gems to me just because they're obviously harder to come by, even though I'm not trying to sell any of these. I don't necessarily care about the value of any of them. But like finding Orange Line Han Solo at Disc Replay for $14.99. I found Yoda at Disc Replay. I found both of the Luke Skywalkers, The Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, at Disc Replay Jabba the Hutt.
Which, if you didn't know what Disc Replay is, it's just a used media store.
Yeah, mom and pop, you know. Great store, great store.
Great store. Sponsor us, Disc Replay. But yeah, I don't know what it is, and we've talked about it for a while, but it seems like after The Last Jedi came out, which everyone doesn't like, but
we get it.
But it's weird that after that, every single old Star Wars figure like tripled in value.
Yeah.
Before that, you could reasonably get most figures for under $40.
Yeah, it's probably just the crusade of people being against anything Disney. So if there's like any Disney characters coming out, which is the majority of what they keep on putting out, I think that's just why, because they just are kind of refusing to do like original trilogy and prequel stuff.
Well, I think now they're making more of an effort because we've got like Zuckuss, Dengar, all the generals.
But, yeah, it's like the older waves become more valuable and sought after because, you know, the newer waves that are coming out, is like you said, is the new stuff, which people aren't taking too kind to, at least some of it, and it becomes a shelf warmer supreme. Like I would say, like the majority of black and red box Black Series are pretty worthless. Like, of course, there's the exceptions, but
and I'll get into that too, kind of like how the Black Series has lost its charm.
Yeah.
But another great, fantastic story that I just thought of is when you found the Battlefront exclusive Shock Troopers.
Yeah.
And it was back when Walmart was so disorganized, it was just like anything that said Star Wars, they just threw it in this giant pile of product. It was just like you had to siphon through it. And you found like the Shock Troopers. There was two of them. And you didn't buy the one for me.
But I hid it for you.
But you hid it. I mean, you basically just hid it under the freaking massive pile of crap.
Yeah, but no one was coming for that.
Yeah, and I randomly found it and I got it, so that was a pretty good story. And also when we found the whole wave, like the Han Solo, the old man Solo wave, and when you saw me spend like $100 in one night.
Jango Fett and everything. Yeah, when those figures were all brand new.
Yeah, so
those were great nights. Very hype.
Basically, when it comes to my history of collecting action figures, I mean, I also collect NECA 7-inch Ultimate. Because this isn't just Black Series, right?
Yeah, no.
This is just action figures in general. But it all started 100% sure with the Black Series. That is what spawned all of this. And I also bought... I was also into collecting Marvel Legends. Which turned out to be a big disappointment because I sold nearly all of them.
Which ones do you still have? Just out of
curiosity. I
curiosity.
Still have Pizza Spider-Man, Venom, Black Suit Spider-Man. I plan on selling the rest. I kind of want to keep Giant Man just because I think it's cool.
Yeah. But
everything else, the Build-A-Figure Giant Man, everything else I'm just severely disappointed that I spent full price on just for the Build-A-Figures. Which Build-A-Figures are cool, and I kind of wish the Black Series did them, but it pressured me into buying stupid figures like Nuke and Red Guardian and just other stuff like that. And how I've thought about like the superhero genre in general, I've just totally lost most of my interest. Like, I really liked Infinity War, but my investment in Marvel and DC just is not what it used to be. So that is why I decided to sell nearly all of my Marvel Legends. I don't look at the Marvel Legend aisle. I don't look at them anymore. I don't care about them. So that was like a brief period in my history. But I do love NECA, and I collect mostly Alien, Predator, and the Friday the 13th stuff. And I do have the Ash vs. Evil Dead Ash.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the Xenomorphs that they've made. And obviously the Jasons are like probably my holy grail. And of course the Alien Queen.
Yeah.
Which is an absolute unit.
Amazing.
Easily one of my favorite figures. I mean, it's a figure.
Yeah, it is.
Even though it's
just massive.
a bulk. And so, yeah, that's easily... The Alien Queen is easily one of my favorite figures, along with the Sand Trooper from the Black Series 6-inch Black Pauldron.
Nice. That's the blue line one, right?
Yeah, blue line.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's like any other good stories I have. My history. I mean, it's a short history, just 3 years worth of collecting. And you will see what that has done when we do the entire figure collection. Basic rundown, Black Series, did a little bit of Marvel Legends, sold them all. NECA, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Pretty much it for me.
So, Steve, what is your action figure collecting origins?
My story of serious collecting begins when I first started hanging out with you.
Yeah.
Now, Nate and I have known each other.
Theme.
Yeah.
Nate's just infected us.
Nate and I have known each other for like the better part of 10-ish years, because we went to different high schools, but we were both skateboarders.
Yeah.
So we knew who each other were, which that's a funny story in itself. But anyways, it was after high school when we started actually hanging out, because we started a band together.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I first started coming over to your house for band practice, I would see all of your cool shit, like around your room and down here. I'd be like, whoa, like there's some really awesome, specifically like your horror stuff and just your little knickknacks here and there.
Yeah.
And your comic books, DVDs, movies, and stuff. And also, you're a huge reason why I started collecting Blu-rays. I mean, I would buy them, but once I saw your collection and how meticulous you were about it, I was like, damn, I need to step my game up. And that's how I really got into it. But anyways, so basically that's how my interest started to peak a little more and more, is when I'd come over for band practice, I'd see the stuff, I was like, you know what, that would be really cool to have like in my room, just like and of course Star Wars was the main thing. So I don't remember exactly what my first purchase was as like, I'm gonna start collecting, but I know I was super into the Black Series, specifically the black and red. I remember seeing the older stuff.
I'll never forget the one time we were out skateboarding, and I think it was just you and I. We just walked into Walgreens and we saw like 15 prototype Boba Fett's.
Yeah, that was you and I.
And we were just like, oh, these are really cool. And just left them there.
Yeah, yeah. There was like a full...
Yeah, it was like... Justin, it was like, imagine how, like, you remember when Emperor's Wrath Vader was everywhere?
Yeah.
And you couldn't escape it? It was like that, but with prototype Boba Fett.
So, yeah, along with that, and then just the mutual friends that I made through you, our friend Kyle, who he's definitely been on the channel before, but I don't know if he's still on the channel, we'll put it that way.
I think the videos, or no.
I think he's in the Crystal Pepsi.
Yeah, he's in the
Crystal
Pepsi.
Check out that Crystal Pepsi video if you want to see some really old
throwback.
Yeah.
But so I would go to his house and he had collectibles. I'm like, shit, he's got some really cool stuff, and I would, so that's what really sparked it. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start collecting. I bought a little shelf that I put on my wall. Again, I can't remember exactly what the first purchase was, but started heavy in the Black Series. I wanted to get into that, and then I still to this day am really attracted to the old Toy Biz stuff.
Yeah. And
I really liked that stuff. I remember I bought some carded like Spider-Man, the new animated series figures, and stuff like that. And I kind of floundered for a while because I didn't really have a taste per se. I was just kind of like going by what you were into and like what was hot at the time, like because I was still into the Marvel movies.
Right.
So I would
pop vinyls.
No, I'll get to those. So I would buy a bunch of Marvel Legends, and I just kind of like, I was just buying everything at once.
Yeah.
And then I kind of had everything at once. I'm just like, oh, and like that's when I started selling some stuff. But The only Pop figures I ever bought in my entire life. There were 2 separate occasions, but one occasion was at the Kokomo place because I never dreamed that Marvel Legends would put out the Netflix Daredevil stuff.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And I really, really wanted something because there was nothing. Now they have the Diamond Selects, the statues, the
Mezco,
everything. So there was nothing back then for a long, like even through season 2, I don't even think there was really anything.
Well, yeah, because by the time Marvel Legends released a Daredevil, season 2 was already over, and then they released the season 1 costume, and everyone was kind of like, what the hell?
You're right. Yeah. That was weird. That's a weird thing. I don't know what the deal was with that. But anyways, so I bought Kingpin and Daredevil, the Vigilante version.
Yeah.
I bought those, and then I was dating a woman at a certain period of time, and we were both really into the X-Files. So as a little really cheesy attempt at romance, I bought Scully and Mulder, which, funny enough, are kind of valuable now. I think they've been vaulted.
Nice.
So I gave her Mulder, and I kept Scully. So that was just kind of like a stupid attempt at, like she was the Scully to my Mulder, and whatever. So that's the only time. And I didn't like Pops back then either. But I wasn't going to track down some McFarlane X-Files figures.
From the movie.
Yeah, because that was before the Diamond Select stuff came out. But so basically snowballed from hanging out with Nate to where I am today, where I just have fucking totes full of stuff in my closet that I just have no room for.
Real Boba Fett, real Darth Maul.
Now, at least those are on display.
Finally.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been really procrastinating selling a lot of my Marvel Legends stuff. I've sold some of it, but I really need to just clear that crap out.
Yeah.
That, like, bouncing off of each other's stuff is basically everything. Like, if we could sum up this video in just a few, like, sentences, I would say that we all just, like, bounce off of each other's interests and get each other into different things. And that, and not just us three, you know, we have a good friend of the channel, Mike. And for me, Blu-rays specifically, I would say, like, Brandon and I, Brandon, good friend of the channel, kind of got into that. So that's, like, a common theme throughout, like, all of my friends, is that we all get each other into, like, different things, like obviously action figures, different kinds of Blu-rays, and all sorts of things. And one thing that I just want to throw in before you do your history, if you were done with yours,
pretty much,
is that one, like, unique experience about collecting action figures is, like, outsiders, like, looking in, like, when you meet new people, or, like, specifically if you're, like, have romantic interests with a girl, and, like, that's the first thing I want to say is, like, I collect action figures because there are some people out there who think, like, you're super weird. And
I definitely, like, when I was in, like, middle school and high school, I would never mention it to anyone because I was mortified of getting picked on already more than I got picked on.
Well, yeah, because I don't know how it was at your high school, but the skaters were very, very looked down on in my high school.
Yeah.
So
didn't need to add to that.
Exactly.
So like basically for me, like, I guess I was always afraid of what people thought, especially high school, just with how stupid everyone was. Not to be, like, a stereotypical, like, pity party, but I hated high school. And college, I feel like everyone is so much more accepting of what your hobbies and personal interests are.
Well, being a nerd is cool, right?
That also helps a lot, honestly.
That also does help a lot, but, like, college and now, like, collecting action figures and everything, I feel like I finally am who I truly am. I think collecting action figures and what that means about us truly does have some higher meaning. But it's true. It is true. I do feel like I do feel like I am completely myself now.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Not to get too sobby.
Yeah. No, just to end on that note really quick. Like I mentioned, when I first started hanging out with Nate, I was, give me more Transformers, give me these DVDs. Like, I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And then
You
Nate,
thought The Love Guru was a good movie.
I did. And I was like, it's not that bad. I literally, because we had a big conversation about it, I went home that night, watched it, I was like, oh my god, he's right. This is fucking terrible. But yeah, he really like put me on the path of like do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
Like stop doing this shit. And
You don't want to live that life.
yeah, forever thankful for that, because I'd still be like, I can't wait for Transformers 6. Can't wait for Bumblebee.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. If you like Transformers, that's cool. Totally cool.
I can't say I did like Transformers when it first came out, but I can't say I was like the same exact way. However, I think being friends with all of you guys have definitely broadened my horizons. And I'm sure, I've shown you guys some stuff as well. You know, like I said, we all bounce off each other's stuff, but we've all seen the massive Blu-ray collection, and we've seen so many new movies, and we're all just great supportive friends who love each other.
It is true.
To put it frankly, and to end it, if it wasn't for Nate, I would probably be that fake nerd wearing a Target Spider-Man shirt collecting pop figures.
Pop vinyl, Deadpool, Rick and Morty.
Exactly.
The 3 deadly sins of being a fake nerd.
100%. I would have went down that path. There's no fucking doubt about it. There's no doubt.
Dad, I hope you don't take us too seriously.
Yeah.
I want you to leave that in.
Yeah, we'll leave it in, but I just want to reiterate, it's all jokes here. We like to tease. Maybe we're a little cheap.
All right, Nate. What is your history?
Yeah.
What is your history?
Okay, so my history is a very long history. Like I previously mentioned, I said middle school and high school, but it even goes back further than that. Because when I was younger, I would always get babysat by my older cousin, who was just recently on the channel for the first time. My cousin Steve.
Check out the vlog.
He's pretty much responsible for everything that I'm into. And he collected action figures when he was in high school. And so anytime he would babysit me, I'd come over to his house, and he had like every single Movie Maniac. All of them. Like even the big 18-inch figures. Mm-hmm. So I would always see that stuff, and at first I was terrified of it. And I genuinely wouldn't like to go in his room, because he had like Freddy and Jason.
I wouldn't go into Spencer's because of the Chucky dolls.
Yeah, I was afraid of Spencer's too. But eventually it got to the point where I would say I was probably like 9 or 10, and we started watching like Friday the 13th, which is pretty tame, especially when you're younger. So that initially had got me interested in like just being into the horror genre. I feel like that kind of opens you up to like collecting, especially like I was saying with the older McFarlane stuff and even older NECA stuff, where it was hard to find, but you could still find it at places like Suncoast or FYE or even Toys R Us. And
like we mentioned earlier, but Spencer's, I vividly remember carrying lots of McFarlane stuff.
Yeah, so I would say my collection probably started with the Movie Maniac line. The very first figure I remember purchasing with my own allowance money was, and I mentioned this on an episode before, and I totally was just blown away because I always thought this Xenomorph that I bought was a NECA figure, but it turns out it was a McFarlane figure. And I think that was 2003.
And you judged a NECA by that figure because it broke.
I did. But it was actually...
it
was actually a McFarlane, but very first probably adult collector figure that I purchased with my own money, and it snapped right out of the package. And I pulled it out, and its legs snapped off, had to go back to Toys R Us. I remember my aunt took me back, and we exchanged it. Thankfully, they had another one. They exchanged it for me, which was very nice of them, because the package was open. But that was probably one of the first figures I remember buying. And I've sort of like gone in waves throughout my life of like collecting and then just not collecting.
I went cold turkey completely for a few months, but yeah, it is weird how that works.
So I remember I had like a lot of Sin City toys, Hellboy, a lot of like movies like that, like science fiction horror movie figures. I had a lot of those when I was growing up, and those were all purchased with like allowance money, or like if it was a birthday or something, I would ask for these specific figures, and I didn't really play with them because I've always had those shelves in my room, and they've always sort of just sat there because for whatever reason, I don't know why, but like my mom and dad sort of like instilled this collector mentality on me about like things, you know, like toys that are meant to be played with and toys that aren't meant to be played with. Because my dad would collect like my dad collected Star Trek figures, so there was always something there where I was like, oh, it's kind of a normal thing. Like to me, it's always been like a normal thing.
You had a nerd dad.
Yeah, my dad was a nerd. So
and like the collector mentality that was instilled in you, I feel like I had that same collector's mentality, just with like random things.
Yeah,
I mean, like even like Pokemon cards,
right?
Yu-Gi-Oh cards, like never playing with the cards, but like I just liked seeing them. In
right, you'd have the
sleeves.
Yeah, the binder, and you'd just put them in the sleeves, and you wouldn't play with them. Like I was like that too. I had binders and binders of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. I still do.
And, like I remember in middle school, I had like all of the different flavors of Mountain Dew bottles, like super lame, super stupid, but like I just liked seeing like organized like all the different colors. So I think that's also a big part of it. Is we just like to see organization. Like it's so satisfying to see like Black Series, just like all of those. It's progress.
Right.
Yeah. I really had to take the long way around.
Yeah.
When it came to collecting and just weird things in general, I guess, because I have two normie parents. My dad would collect like fire memorabilia, but I could never give a shit less about that.
Fire?
So, yeah, like firefighting. He was a firefighter.
Okay.
So, I had to take the long way around. Like any outside, like Star Wars, like my parents, I don't even know if they've ever seen it. Like I had to do that for my neighbors, like my childhood friends. Like I would watch Star Wars at their house and play the video games and just was like blown away. Like my house was just so vanilla. It just had like nothing cool going on. So I always took the like outside influences. I always got it from my cousin or people I would meet over the years, friends, you know, stuff like that. So I never had that like collector, you know, mentality or anything.
So by the time that was mostly like elementary school, and then middle school, I pretty much didn't collect action figures because when you get into middle school, you think you're really cool, and you're like, I'm above all this baby bullshit.
It's so funny how that completely shifts too, because it's like you go through that phase. It's like I don't watch cartoons.
Right.
Cartoons are stupid. SpongeBob's lame. And then it's like a few years later, it's like, oh, remember SpongeBob?
Right.
Oh,
so,
I wish I could be a kid.
Like throughout middle school, I wasn't really collecting a whole lot of anything. I was too cool for that, and probably about like halfway through high school, I'd probably say like junior or senior year was when I got back into stuff, and I was like collecting some NECA figures and again McFarlane toys, like getting older stuff, and just going through like boxes and boxes. I'm just like, it's like crazy to see how much stuff I still have. And I was also a really big Gundam fan too at the time, so I was buying a lot of Gundam action figures. But I would definitely say out of high school, when I finally got a job for myself and I could like, you know, spend my own money however I wanted to, that was when I was like, oh yeah, baby, time to go full-blown crazy. And the first thing that I really got into as an adult was Marvel Legends, and it was right when like Hasbro, it was like the line where it was called like the Return of Marvel Legends. And like there was like Blue Flame Ghost Rider and stuff like that. That was like when I started getting back into that, and I was really interested in the Marvel Legends, so I would collect those for a while. And unfortunately, I don't know why, but I just never collected the Black Series at first. Like when I got into the Black Series, it was red and black box already. And I don't know why, I've always been a big Star Wars fan, but for whatever reason, I just never bought any of those older Star Wars figures. I think it was just because I was too focused on like horror movie stuff. But anyways, so then I'd probably say 2014, maybe when the hype for Force Awakens was first happening, or like the new Star Wars hype. I'd say that was when I started like being like, oh yeah, Star Wars is awesome, like I gotta start getting Black Series figures. And so I started there with Black Series. We all have a common theme here. Like the Black Series really like kind of got us into like the whole adult collecting. So I was collecting tons of Black Series figures, not as crazy as Justin. Justin went crazier than all of us for Black Series.
Oh god.
But I would say where you went crazy with Black Series, I went crazy with Marvel Legends. Like, I was buying tons and tons of Marvel Legends. I completed like 5 or 6 Build-A-Figures within like 1 year, which is insane.
Without any like buying random pieces off eBay.
Yeah. The only time I bought one random piece, and it was, I think, Space Venom's arm that came because it came with silk.
And then I gave you a piece just because I didn't.
Oh yeah, Hulkbuster, a piece for Hulkbuster. Yeah. And I was just like really addicted to the idea of Build-A-Figures, and I was like, oh, it's so satisfying once you put it all together.
That's how they get you.
That's how they get you, especially at that time. Because Hulkbuster was my first Build-A-Figure, and that is a great Build-A-Figure. It's big, it's heavy.
You still have that?
Yeah, I still have it. Yeah, I was going to sell it, and then after Infinity War, even though the Hulkbuster design is different, I was like, I can't get rid of this. I was like, it's too cool. Yeah. It's too cool. But, so, yeah, all Marvel Legends, NECA, Black Series, just like these guys, is what I was mainly collecting. And then I started to get tired of the MCU, like we explained in our Why We Stopped Collecting Marvel Legends video, and I sold off a large portion of my Marvel Legends collection. I still have a ton, and I still buy 1 or 2 every now and again, especially because they've been going really deep into the X-Men catalog, and X-Men has always been one of my favorite Marvel properties, period. So, like, you know, they're releasing, like, Omega Red, Bishop, Yellow Suit Wolverine, like 90s X-Men, which is like, hits me right in the nostalgia. So those figures, I'm like, yeah, I'm still going to get those. Like 90s Cable, too. But, so I don't really collect Marvel Legends anymore. None of us really do. I buy 1 or 2 here and there. And then Black Series figures, again, like you said, Justin, the charm is kind of gone.
Yeah.
We're still buying them, but we don't really go on hunts anymore.
Yeah, it's almost kind of sad to me because there's no rush.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, like, there's no figures.
Yeah, it's just
there just isn't any
I think
product.
we're all very, obviously, very, very burnt out on the movies and the hype and the culture behind it. And I think it's such a turnoff that...
And it's gotten to the point, too, where our area is just so full of collectors that use like things like BrickSeek, and they just completely wipe the shelves of every store in the area, and by the time we're out and about looking for anything, most of it's all gone.
Yeah, and if there is, it's just new characters. It's Han Solo from Solo, a Star Wars story. Like, just the most undesirable characters ever, because all they put out anymore, for the most part, is just the new trilogy figures, and there's just no new... Like, they'll announce new cool stuff, but we just never see it.
Right. You don't see it in
The only way to get it is online through, you know, Entertainment Earth or Big Bad Toy Store. And I still use those services to get the figures that I want, even for NECA.
But it's not as satisfying
because
as
it's not as satisfying. Like, we don't have the urge to go to Walgreens. You know, we go to Walmart to get snacks. We're not even checking the figures anymore. We're not even going down the toy aisle.
Yeah, because we just all know there's nothing there.
Yeah, there's just no product.
Just to reiterate a point I said earlier, it's just a bad time to collect because being a nerd is cool. And I'm not saying we were doing it before, you know, like we're up here.
We're hipsters.
But it's true because, and I think Pop has a lot to do with this. It's like, it's the new Beanie Baby effect where everything has value now. Oh, gotta hold on to this because
anything that says limited or collectors.
Yeah. So,
I mean, people are literally buying the Deadpool 2 steelbooks. They're buying 2 of them to keep like 1 in the shrink wrap. I'm just like,
why?
And all those comments on the Black Series page that,
yeah,
how am I going to put my son through college?
Well, I mean, they're just Deadpool specifically, they're milking him to death.
Yeah.
He's popping up on covers that he has nothing to do with.
Yeah,
and it's just the
Fox
same
movies.
Standard dumbass Blu-ray editions with the new slip. Like, it is a great marketing scheme. It really is.
Oh, yeah. Hands down.
But this is kind of an aside. You can cut this out if you want. But, like, the MCU is 10 years old, or it's probably over 10 years old now, or it turned 10 this year, something like that. Yeah. And I remember a few movies back, like even a year or two ago, we're like, when's the fatigue gonna set in? And I think we saw it a little bit, and then it's like right back to unprecedented levels, like it was before, and it's just like
with Infinity War.
Yeah, when the fuck is this, like, the bubble gonna burst? Like, I don't think, like, think of this, the slasher genre, huge in the 80s, died off. Had a slight resurgence, died off. It's just like 10. That's a fucking decade. That is a decade.
But I also think the MCU normalized being into like nerdy stuff.
It did, but I'm saying it's like it's a fad. It's not going to be cool eventually, and the MCU is going to end. And it's not going to. The superhero movies aren't going to be the cool thing anymore. It's going to shift to something else, just like inevitably it does. Times change.
Yeah.
New wave music.
So you're thinking
cool
like
anymore.
You're thinking like big picture.
Yeah,
like
I'm just like
years and years.
10 years. Like I can't think of another, like, what's a huge, like, not even a movie trend that lasted 10 years or more.
Right.
Like Beanie Babies didn't last that long. Perm haircuts from the 80s didn't last that long. New wave didn't last that long. Like,
everything with time fades into obscurity.
Yeah, but it seemed like it's like the MCU, the being a nerd culture has been strong for 10 years, and it is still unprecedented to this point. It's fascinating, but it's just like, when's it gonna pop? So I can get my figs.
And then you see, YouTube channels like Looper,
or like Out of the Bit.
But anyways, so after all of that, I started getting into just recently, last year, because
he's addicted.
Yeah.
My well, here's what happened.
He's addicted.
We're gonna get a little personal here. My longtime girlfriend and we broke up.
Dislike.
And so some retail therapy was happening, and I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to get a Mezco 1/12 figure, and I'm gonna do it. And the first one I got, and the first one I got was the Cursed Earth Judge Dredd, and that was a downward spiral.
Spock?
No, Spock was not my first one. And the first one I got was Judge Dredd. The second one I got was Spock. And I don't have that many Mezcos. I haven't gone that crazy.
No.
Not that crazy, but as most of you guys know, Mezco toys are very expensive. Yeah. They're very expensive, but they're also very high quality. And not everyone likes them, but I really like them. I think they are really nice, solid, high quality figures. And that has also been where a portion of my like action figure collecting money has gone to, is saving up to buy the Mezcos when they come out. So that has sort of like stopped me in a way from like going really hard on Black Series and even NECA to a certain extent. Like I'm not like going crazy, like buying every NECA like Ultimate figure, because for a while I was just like, give me all the Ultimates, I'll take them all.
Yeah.
And in a way, Mezco has also replaced like my Marvel figures. Mezco is my go-to if I want to get a Marvel figure now at this point. Like the upcoming Cyclops looks amazing. I have Daredevil and Wolverine. Those are really great figures. They're doing a lot of X-Men stuff, which I appreciate because I love the X-Men. So that's pretty much it up until this point. My main focus is like NECA and Mezco with a dash of Black Series, just because, like we said, Black Series figures have certainly like lost their charm and they've slowed down, and it's kind of like, you know, you get the ones you want at some point.
Yeah.
Like I still don't have Tarkin, and I haven't been able to find a Tarkin.
Which, granted, the quality is kind of increasing. Like with
totally.
the face printing technology, they still can't really do double jointed elbows on every figure for whatever reason, but they've started to do more double jointed elbows. So like the quality is there. It's just like a desirable figure is every once. Like, there's one a wave. Like, the whole wave is undesirable except for one figure. And then that one figure is one per pack.
Yep.
And then you just got to order it online.
Kind of like Forlom.
Yeah.
Well, I think Forlom and Tarkin were part of the same wave.
Yeah.
But it was like that and then a bunch of figures from Solo.
Yep.
And then it's like you guarantee yourself that those two figures are going to be impossible to find at retail.
Yep.
And that's exactly how it is. I've never seen a Forlom in a store. I've never seen a Grand Moff Tarkin in a store. So
I mean, my Grand Moff Tarkin was purchased in a store somehow.
That is true.
Randomly.
That is true. So that is our action figure collecting origins. Let's hear what your guys' origins are in the comments down below. We'd love to have a conversation about collecting, because it's one of our favorite hobbies here at Out of the Basement.
If you couldn't tell.
Since we've pretty much turned into an action figure channel. Not that that's a bad thing. I kind of like it, though.
We still do movie stuff.
Every once in a while.
We have our monthly Blu-ray updates, and we still do some movie stuff here and there. We went to a horror convention.
True.
Check out the vlog.
It's a good vlog. It's a good vlog.
One thing I just want to throw in here, I know this is already so much, but I just want to say one more thing, is I've seen some comments lately from people on our channel saying, like, man, like, it must be good for you guys because you have friends who collect. Like, it sounds like a lot of people who are legitimate collectors, not scalpers, are, like, they're the only person, like, they don't have friends who collect, because I've been seeing, like...
non-pop vinyl collectors?
Yeah, yeah. Because I've been seeing comments by, like, man, what are the odds that, like, all three of you guys collect?
Mm-hmm.
And,
Well,
like,
it wasn't that way when obviously,
Yeah.
as we explained.
So, yeah, basically the explanation for that is what was said earlier, is just the bouncing and sharing of all these different ideas.
Yeah.
I just wanted to address those few comments who were wondering and wanted us to talk about that.
True. It's like I'm the thing, and I have assimilated both of them.
Yep.
So
Now we gotta drink the maybe gasoline, maybe the liquor.
which one could it
We
be?
don't know.
Whose breath showed in this video? None of ours.
Child's.
Uh,
That's a disproven.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
I thought
true.
the breath thing was...
So, anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you are new. Hit that bell so you are notified when we are uploading. It's very important these days.
Or when we're
Also-
live.
True. Also, we are dangerously close to 1,000 subscribers. So, if you've ever enjoyed one of our videos, if we've ever made you laugh, why don't you share one of our videos with one of your friends? Maybe tell them to subscribe. That's right. I'm starting to e-beg because I want to hit that 1,000.
We'll get there.
Of course, I'm Nate. I've been joined with Justin
See you guys later.
and Steven,
See ya.
and we will see you next time on Out of the Basement.